Autopilot enabled here. We can speed it up if you'd like. I have a car behind me, so I'll autopilot up to 70. And so you can see it following the lanes, you can see it taking the cars. And every once in a while, it'll just tell me, like, apply some force to the wheel, just to ensure that I'm still here.
So how often do you have to touch it to...
It varies depending on the comfortability of the car itself. So if it has things to see, like right now, I'm sure I get it because I have nothing in front of me. So there's no cars in front of me, there's nothing by my side. And so it wants to make sure that all it's using right now are the visual cues for the lanes. And so the level of comfortability with the driving scenario isn't as strong versus if there's a car in front of me that I know I'm following a car beside me on either end that the sensors can see, and I have more sensors input into the system, then it has more comfortability with its actual driving scenario.
Oh, so it's actually more comfortable in traffic.
Oh yeah, because you have ultrasonic sensors on either end, okay. You have the cameras in front of you, you have your radar as well. It has more sensor inputs and feedback to actually judge, what it's trying to do.
Gotcha.
Versus here, it's like really all we're relying on are cameras that see the lane and maybe a car or two that we end up seeing. So in that sense, it is a little uncertain.
So how long have you used Autopilot, like in one run? How long have you run
I use it pretty often. So like this is a pretty strong curve. You can see I'm taking it at a fairly fast speed.
Pretty gutsy, man.
Yeah.
I almost want to reach over and grab the wheel.
Exactly. I use it so driving home, I use it all the time because I'm sitting in nonstop traffic. And so for me, it is a lifesaver.
And it's pretty good in stop and go traffic, right?
Oh, absolutely. It actually can predict crashes ahead of it and will notify you, like if a car in front of another car.
Yeah.
So the radar can actually go pretty long distance and it can see a cross section a few cars ahead, so it'll actually notify you if a crash was going to be imminent. And there's videos of people actually being saved from a collision because the car saw it ahead of time and recognized that the driving profile of the cars in front of it were much slower than the car that was right immediately in front, and so it actually predicted that and slowed down, whereas the car in front did actually end up crashing.
That's what I think people forget, right? I mean, there's minimal social acceptance of autonomous vehicles because one robot car that kills somebody will get front page news, but 40,000 people die on the roads every year and nobody hears anything about that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing. There's always that. And then, when we get into the full self-driving pace, the one, anecdote they always use is, all right, who's your car programmed to save? School bus of 8 kids or you? Your car is supposed to make an intelligent decision. It can't avoid the crash. It just has to choose which one it's going to be sacrificed. As much as people say it, no one person is going to say, kill me instead of everybody else over here. You can claim to be whatever saint you want, but you're not going to do that. And so once again, this is where me and Autopilot do our best work. Is in heavy traffic where...
So you just click. It was just a. What did
so you double click the scroll wheel? So if you click it down once, it's basically automatic cruise control, where I still have the steering, and it's just basically monitoring speed and varying throttle or I guess acceleration based off of cars in front of me. Double click actually does so if I turn it off, I do double click. Actually turns on full autopilot, where you can now see that it's doing steering and the speed as well.
Okay. And you could just stay like this, it'll take you turns and everywhere you need to go, right?
Pretty much. I'm on the highway, I'm good to go. So this would actually be interesting right here because I don't have a lane. Yep. And so these are the scenarios where you get curious as to how Autopilot reacts. And so you can see it actually handled it pretty well. Still kind of saw that there's a visual line there and said sticking to this lane. But this is where the updates to Autopilot have really improved, because before it would get confused because it would see that opening and it would say, I'm just going to swerve to the right because I think that's where I want to be on this side of the lane. And that's how you ran into scenarios of people getting into those accidents that they did before. So here now where you see there's a little bit of uncertainty, you can see it trying to, it's like a slight ping pong of, all right, I know there's 2 lanes that are converging, I'm trying to figure out where my center is. So you can see now it's asking me, put your hand on the wheel, are you still here? If I continue to ignore it, it'll keep blinking, and then eventually it starts making like an audible noise. If you continue to ignore it, it actually pulls the car over and stops it on the side of the road.
Oh, it does it really well.
Yeah, because you can literally have...
So that's it yelling at you to touch the wheel, right?
Exactly. It's just apply a light force, make sure you're still here. Because you can, somebody could have like a stroke, heart attack, or whatever in the driver's seat. They're out, car's still driving, and hasn't been notified, doesn't know to stop. So it's, you know, after a while, if nothing happens, stop the car, pull it over to the side. So, yeah,